Joe, what is the difference between snowmen and snow women?
What?
Snowballs. That's it. All right. Joe, why is Santa so jolly?
Why?
He knows where all the naughty girls live. Hey, this is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And welcome to Carnival Personnel. There's a lot more of those yucks where it came from.
Happy December. It's Christmas time.
It is Christmas time. We are officially into it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even notice when I came in here. Was the tree up?
Tree is up.
Good.
Brand new fake tree.
Oh.
Went
nice.
to Lowe's.
You cut it down yourself?
Dad, did you bring a saw?
Did brand new this year?
Yeah, with the old plastic tree that was pre-lit. It's seen better days. I think we've had it for 8 years or something, and they don't make them like they used to. So we got a new one.
Yeah, we just did our annual, went to because we live just 6 houses down from a tree farm, and it's fun. It really is, but it's one of those things. It's like after the first 100 trees that you said, hey, how about this one? No. It's like, all right, well, I'll just follow you until you decide which is the perfect tree, because they all look so different.
Well, there's the green.
And then there's the green ones.
Yeah, but then some of them are prickly, though.
Turns out there are. This farm has 4 different versions of Christmas trees, so it is what it is. Very happy. It's cool that we can literally just walk it home. It's like 6 houses down. That was good. And one of my favorite things online lately, to start off the Christmas season, is seeing people with different manger sets. It's not, but it's like with different themed, either all like
Star Wars
or Batman, or hodgepodge of different things. And I'm like,
but let's be honest, both of those versions are on your lawn.
What is on our lawn is a inflatable Olaf and an inflatable old school Grinch and Max with a Christmas bag. I did get the at, but I haven't put it up like a Star Wars. And then
I knew what that was.
Management made the mistake of showing me, oh man, how crazy is this? And I'm like, can we get it? And she said no, which means next year we will have a 2-story Rudolph. They actually sell one that's the size of our house. And I'm like, yeah, it's $400. I'll wait to get that purchase, but it will.
That'll get you a rice cooker. $400.
Oh, very, very nice. No, not a racial slur. Hey, and speaking of Christmas, do you know this Halloween Tom Hanks character called
David S. Pumpkins?
Dude,
yeah.
So management got my oldest and I, and I'll show Joe some pictures after, some ugly sweaters to go on our outing today, and got our little guy this suit. And does not the suit look amazing?
Yes.
And she's like, oh, he looks like Dave S. Pumpkins. And I'm like, who? She was stunned that I didn't know about the character. So I come home. Do you know actually after one skit, they didn't bring the character back? They made a half-hour Halloween special based on him. I
do remember that. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's like one of those weird phenomenon things. And he's not exactly a dynamic. I mean, he's dynamic, but he's not. He doesn't bring anything else to the table besides the jacket.
And that's it. That's the whole thing. And it's like the whole thing that there's no backstory. There's no history. There's no tie-in other than his name.
And the jacket that's adorned with pumpkin outlines.
That's it. I watched one of those EPKs talking about the creation of, the writers who wrote it. Tom Hanks did not want to do the skit. I'm trying to think who was the character.
Was that in the John Mulaney
host
era?
The following week?
Right.
No, it was just 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like, but Bobby Moorhan was one of the people who wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't want to do it, and I forget who was the host next week, but he thought it was more up that guy's alley, and he did it, and I was like, he was on a red carpet doing, somebody was asking about it. He goes, yeah, that's who I am from now on. Not Oscar winner Tom Hanks. I'm David S. Pumpkins.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like when Richard Harris became the guy from Harry Potter. He had been in Camelot in the 60s.
Right.
But a whole other generation knows him as not Gandalf, Dumbledore, or Sir Alec Guinness.
Right. Same thing that you wouldn't think.
Right. So now Tom Hanks, to a certain generation, is, hey, David has pumpkins. I was also in Philadelphia.
Yeah, exactly. So hey, Joe, we're again, let's tear down the fourth wall a little bit because we were just talking about
Finally, so we can kind of expand the room. I figure now we can probably put a bigger studio area here. We can maybe put like a mini fridge here. We could put a we could. How about if we tear down this wall? We'll create the illusion of two rooms. It'll sort of set up a flow into the living room and the guest area. So then, the guests could come in. We could be talking on the podcast. They could be sitting over there. We won't be bothering them. They won't be bothering us.
You couldn't afford this.
You're not literally tearing down a fourth wall. I went on the whole rant for nothing.
No, you went on the rant for my pleasure only. Now, we tell the good people at home and Biff what the snacks are today.
Well, and now I feel like the guy on The Price is Right. Why don't you describe the items for us? Well, we have a bag of Hershey's Nuggets, milk chocolate, a classic bag, net weight 10.08 ounces, whatever. We have an Easy Cheese American Cheese Whiz, and we have Ritz crackers. And do we want to go on?
No, what? And my question to you, and you already answered it, is there anything more white trash than cheese in a can?
2 cans of cheese.
I stand corrected. Seriously. I mean, how many? You don't live in a trailer per se.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet,
But yeah, I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and, go.
I've yet to have the cheese. Actually, it's yet to be squozed. So maybe, would you want to do that right now on the air?
All right,
here we go.
Let me just open up a bag of crackers because nothing says good podcasting like a crinkly bag of Ritz crackers.
That's why the sneeze guard is on your microphone.
There you go.
Oh, great. I
let me
gingerly took one out. Oh, here we go. You got to put it on the mic, dude. Here we go. Ready? Here we go. Whoa!
I'll just say that wasn't a very excited can of cheese. This can of cheese saw a really big set of boobies.
I mistakenly thought that the Cheese Whiz made a sound similar to a whipped can. Oh man, I got to turn the microphone around. This is a mess.
Oh yeah, seriously.
I thought that the Cheese Whiz can was going to make the same thing as a Cool Whip can.
And
Cool Whip, with whipped cream can.
I'm going to have to ask Biff what the Japanese word for bukkake is because that kind of looked like I said, the Cheese Whiz was very excited.
The cheese can is saying it never happened like that before. Honestly. Don't mind us.
And your thoughts?
It's all right. It's got a beat I can dance to it. I'll give it a 75. As I peel the rest of it off my paper.
So now we'll get into the good part of the show. I've only been working on it for about a day, but I have a new impression to put into my act.
What's that?
Would you like to see my impression of George H. Bush?
Oh,
Too soon?
No.
Okay.
No, actually, ironically, just on time.
Any thoughts about him and his health taking a turn for the worst?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much right on schedule. He died within a year of his wife, which usually older couples who live that long together do. And I figure, I don't know. He was not exactly a spry young chicken.
94.
Yeah, 94 years.
Didn't
young.
look a day under 98.
That deal with the devil.
Yeah,
it takes
caught up with you.
Yeah. Expiration date.
Were you political from when he was? No, you were too young when he was vice president.
I remember kind of being. Yes, I remember him when he was running for president. I don't know. I think at that age, I kind of I think I might have supported him in a weird way because I'm dumb.
No. The incumbent president, it's very rare to have a one-term president, actually, more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Don't say that. Don't say that!
Unless it's something like a John Kennedy situation. But he he's getting all the flowery, like reminiscent, what a great guy he was. And time has been kind to him. I was political then. I was very active. I mean, I voted in that election. And I'm trying to think, probably, if I do the math right, it's a big stretch for me. Yeah, probably the George Bush, Mike Dukakis presidency was the first president election that I had voted
30
in.
years ago, so yeah.
So I had voted in. Not a fan of his politically. He also skated on Iran-Contra, and I'm not going to go down the list, but it's interesting
He was ex-CIA.
how history has. Now, on the other hand, let's the positive stuff. Much like John McCain, but a generation earlier, he was the youngest World War II pilot. I guess he had, I don't know how many, tours in combat and stuff like that, but a well-decorated World War II pilot, and by all accounts, a pretty good businessman. He didn't come from a lot of money. It wasn't like, he made the money that the family's been living on like the last two generations. But when you see all these glowing, reminiscent, what a great guy, and then you remember it's like, yeah, him, he's Rumsfeld, he's Dick Cheney, he's, the first Iraq war that is very controversial about really how it happened and whether we told Saddam he could go in and then, kind of couldn't. And
I was watching TV. I was actually watching Colbert. I was watching Michelle Obama on Colbert on Friday night, and it broke in during the Colbert, during the commercial break, right at midnight. They came in with an old school CBS special report. I'm like, oh man, is he resigning? Is this it? And then it turns out, no, it's George Herbert Walker Bush is dead. But they were playing the package. They have it all queued up, ready to go. The obituary package, and they describe the first Iraq war and how Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait and the U.S. liberated Kuwait. And it's just like, oh, all righty, I guess we did. Did we? I guess so.
Yeah, it depends. But because of truly the current administration, it bothers me that how we're helping rewrite history for the Bush legacy, and it's just like this current cycle. When George H. left office, there was a huge recession. The economy was not headed in the right direction. Clinton did turn around. Clinton made a lot of mistakes. I'm not the glowing, he was perfect, but he did a lot to turn the economy around. He didn't walk into a White House that was running ship shape type thing. Left the office. But history is remembering more fondly, I think, the Bushes because of the current situation of the GOP.
Possibly. I mean, honestly, do you really think that people are going to vilify the Bushes publicly? Especially on like a news organization?
No, they're definitely not. And look, there are some, and again, because things have become, and I couldn't imagine in 1988 things being more polarized then, but they're so much worse. And there was a good example about a positive. Let's talk about the positive things. George H., when David Duke got the GOP nomination to be senator, George H. publicly came out and said, I'm not saying vote for a Democrat, but there in no way, shape, or form does this guy represent my party, and I will have nothing to do. He completely disavowed himself from a white supremacist. There was also many times when he did work, with Democrats. There was many, and you can go back and forth. There was some positive stuff that you just wouldn't see anything close to. At the same time, you needed a 60-40 vote. You needed 60 votes to get somebody to the Supreme Court. So you had to play politics more than bullying.
Yeah, we really shouldn't hold any sort of politics against this current administration, because this hopefully is an anomaly, not a new norm.
But the thing is, before the election, people have been talking about the guy who is president now was a result of like the last 20 years of Republican politics by cultivating like the fanatical, religious right, by cultivating, the
white
supremacists, by cultivating the gerrymandering, the voter suppression. You go down the list, like the hatred, and especially the 8 years previous, the absolute. They never came. I don't remember anybody on Fox ever dropping the N-word, but man, did they come awful right. They came right up to that line and would stick their nose over.
I think Muslim was their N-word.
Yeah, Kenyan. I think Kenyan.
You're right.
Kenyan became it. Even the guy who was on shockingly MSNBC this week, who created the birther movement, is still not backing down from it. So, we won't go any further into it. He was a war hero. He did a lot of positive things, but I'm not forgetting Iran Contra and a bunch of other stuff that George Walker is the one who sent. Didn't he send Rumsfeld over to sell arms to Sudan, or was that during the Reagan administration? That famous picture of Rumsfeld shaking hands with Saddam Hussein.
That was Reagan era.
That was Reagan era.
I think that could have been that was Reagan era.
So he's vice president at the time, and as you had already pointed out, he was the head of the CIA. Mm-hmm. FBI is in domestic, CIA is the rest of the world. So a lot of nasty shit he was ground floor of.
Yeah, but at least the president had some kind words to say. He took the high road and he had some kind words to say.
Did he write it? Did he?
I kid.
Yeah, no, I was going to
actually. I don't know. I mean, as of the taping of this podcast, I don't believe he did. Although
there was one tweet that was, it was
"Smell you later." I think is that what he said.
I don't know if I had it on here, but you already brought up that Michelle Obama was on Colbert. She's making the rounds. Her book, right as of this podcast, over 2 million copies sold. The best-selling hardcover book of 2018 is her book becoming. I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to read it, but I'm very happy for her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you want, to hide your money in something.
Well, you know why I'm not going to get the book? 2 reasons.
Why?
Obvious one. Mm-hmm. It's a book. Mm-hmm. 2, I'm a racist. So,
Don't say that. People will believe you.
No, they should. It's a book. I don't read. So, moving on to happy things. Joe, it is a wonderful life. It is a wonderful life.
I'm in the middle of eating something, man.
So we got, and it's always nice. And I thank All-Star Tommy. I thank anybody for feedback. But I guess the Pasadena Playhouse is doing a run of It's a Wonderful Life. And All-Stars asking flat out. He didn't quite say in the text that you could come and stay at the house while you come to audition for It's a Wonderful Life. But reading between the lines, I think that's what he was saying.
That's funny. And I appreciate people's enthusiasm about my shitty impressions. So, I if that's sort of like a little hint to maybe at some point this month bring out a new self-indulgent theater scene with It's a Wonderful Life, maybe I'll do that.
I'm 100% using that as an excuse to bring out It's a Wonderful Life. I'm going to jump ahead because I want to look something up real quick. I have a big apology, and I don't know if apology is the right word. I unintentionally, I didn't hijack her gold, but a couple years ago, my niece, when I was in Qatar, one of the cabinets in their bathroom made a funny squeaking sound, made a funny sound. She printed out a picture of Chewbacca, put it on the cabinet, and when you opened it up, it does sound like Chewbacca.
Wow.
It's growl. It was one of the funniest things. The other day on Twitter, somebody had a similar thing. They had a Chewbacca coffee mug, and as they pushed it across the table, the certain kind of mug on a certain kind of table, they pushed it across with a pencil. It very much made a Chewbacca sound. I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
And all I did was reply by tweeting that little 8-10 second clip that my niece had sent me a couple years ago. And I'm happy I did, but I feel bad because it's the tweet in which I've got the most response in my short time on Twitter. Over 100
Likes
and a couple dozen retweets.
Were you blowing up on Twitter without me?
Well, but that's the thing. It's like I didn't post and say, "Hey, my niece came up with this is really fun." I didn't even think that. But then, as the hits kept coming, I'm thinking, "Oh man, I'm raking in all this Twitter gold."
This is how villains are born.
I did. So I feel bad. So I'll give it to you so you can put it on the Carnival personnel, thing.
Oh, you mean at Carnival Podcast on Twitter?
I would. If I could figure out how to post it on Instagram, I would. Maybe we're going to throw it up on the book face. But we will credit, my beloved niece because I felt like I stole her thunder from 2 or 3 years ago.
Does she want credit from you for anything?
She's disavowed me a long time ago.
That's why I'm wondering.
So, Baby, It's Cold Outside. We're not going to do our Christmas best song thing. We did that last year.
Yeah.
But have you followed that a lot of radio stations are pulling it? I'm trying to pull up the lyrics.
Of course, it's a rapey song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in light of the Time's Up and Me Too thing.
Fuck that.
I always thought that. And it was even before the whole movement started. I remember about 2 years ago, because one of my annual Christmas watchings, one of my favorite Christmas movies, if not my favorite, the Star Wars Holiday Special, and Elf. And there's a scene where they sing that.
It's a lovely song.
As she's in the shower, and he's not like peeping Tomming. He's completely innocent, but he hears her singing, likes to sing, and it's like, uninvited into a woman's bathroom where she's taking a shower singing, as you called it, a
rapey song.
Rapey song. Yeah, it does not surprise me. But we're going to go out on it at the end of the show,
Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure.
They did a gay version of that on Glee years ago, which, less rapey, but still. I think it was from an older boy to an underage boy. So I don't know.
The wardens told me 1,000 times, you can't rape the willing. You can't rape the willing.
Is that Anthony Jeselnik over there? I can't see so good.
All right, so we got that bit of horrible out of the way.
That was wonderful. What are you talking about?
That was wonderful. Now let's get into the awful. Please tell me you saw Putin and the prince of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia meeting up at the G20 summit.
Yeah, they gave themselves the bro shake.
Dude, was that not the most repugnant? I mean, we know the history of Putin, like offing journalists and offering people who don't really like him. And now it was just so throwing it in the world's face. Fuck you. This is who we are. We make no apologies from it. What are you going to do about it, motherfucker?
Right. And the funniest part out of that whole image was the image of Donald Trump in the background behind the two of them as they're handshaking and giving each other high fives. You see like a sort of a distant, uninvited, ignored Donald Trump just staring off.
And they're both playing him so well on the world stage. And of course, Trump keeps talking about, and the whole administration keeps talking about, well, they have this, what do they keep inflating it. It's like a $5 billion or $10 billion, weapons order, which isn't a small thing, but I wish our economy wasn't driven by, the military industrial complex. But Putin has already stepped in and said, oh yeah, we're happy to sell you things if they don't. We're also happy to take barrels of oil at $80 a barrel, like with $20 higher than it's going for. Putin came, and whether Russia really would or even if they could afford to, but it's like, dude, he's just fucking trolling you.
Well, that's our Trump.
Now on the upside, well, no, there is no upside, but in the city of D.C., I don't know if you caught this, they've just taken a vote to rename the street where the Saudi embassy is, and rename it for the slain journalist.
Oh, Khashoggi?
Yeah. Huh. And it's a local municipal thing. It's not something that Blotus can come in and put the kibosh on.
Oh, wow.
So the city of D.C. is open. Now, are they trolling the Saudis or are they trolling the administration for not doing anything? Or a little column A?
A little from column A, a little from column B. Yeah, I mean, he's a journalist. I mean, he was a journalist, an American, for all intents and purposes, journalist who was murdered in in an abhorrent way, and they turn a blind eye. The administration turned a blind eye to it. So yeah, I would say that this is something that is, basically saying it's their way of saying to both the current administration and the rest of the world, no, this is something that we're going to not forget. We're not going to just sweep this under the rug because you want us to.
And so, we've talked enough about that. Let's go on to, I want to say, a happy bit of news, but again,
why do that?
About now, it's a month or two ago, for a brief moment, how joy I felt, and I believe you felt, when the UN laughed at Trump. And I mean, absolutely laughed. I forget and for a second, you're like, yeah, the whole world's laughing at us. It's like you want to separate yourself from, but yes, they're laughing at our leader.
I think it was when Donald Trump said at the UN that his current administration did more for the U.S. economy than all the previous administrations combined.
Something like that. And the world openly laughed. Well, so the other day and it was a surprise because even the reporters who got wind just a half hour before that Cohen was showing up in court on Wednesday, it was an unexpected thing that he was coming in to plead to different things. The day before, or was it a little before that Manafort, it turned out that Paul Manafort's deal with Mueller was ripped up and they're filing new charges, or they're saying they might file new charges, but they ripped up the agreement with Paul Manafort. Just like flat out. Bloda spent a couple days saying, well, no, I haven't offered him a pardon, but it's not off the table. Which is called, what's that word? Oh, obstruction. Yeah. But Cohen has come out, and it was, when you talked flipped, he completely flipped, and he flat out, yep, I told him about the Trump Tower meeting with the Russians, and I told his family about it, and here's all the evidence that I told. And he had to stand up in open court and not just say all these things, but they had to show it. And I'm happy, but at the other hand, it's like, it's one of those things like we all knew this, but now that it's coming, and now that it's, I'm excited for the next shoe to drop. But on the other hand, we truly. This isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't liberal snowflake talking. This is a Manchurian candidate in the White House, put in and controlled not by a foreign power, but by a foreign power that we've been at conflict with since the day we both got to Berlin at the same time in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
I'm wondering if I should probably break open one of these Hershey's Nuggets. No, I gotta know there's a whole open one right here. We have 2 bags of Hershey's Nuggets, by the way, just in case the first one can't fulfill its duties as a delicious snack.
Hey, have we talked about my weigh-in this week?
How's it going?
My fat shaming?
What's
down about 4 pounds before I got to your humble abode today. So
let's put that shit back on.
Between today and tomorrow's like Pat's game,
boy.
Either the celebratory eating or the depressing eating. It's like weekends are tough for me. Like literally weekends are. But so back to the Cohen thing. One of the interesting things is this has given license to the media outlets to be more bold, playing clips back to back, a la like Jon Stewart used to do. All the clips where he's saying in the last couple days, it's like, it was a small meeting. Well, we had rudimentary talks. It's like, sure, of course I was thinking about developing there. Of course I was still doing business when I was running and blah, blah, blah. But it was very minor. Playing back to back I never had any sort of business with Russia. I had nothing to do with Russia. Don't know how to spell Russia. Just learned about the word Russia today. And that's the thing. It's like finally people are emboldened, and I don't know why they haven't been doing this, but flat out playing clips back to back. They're all doing the split screen. And I think I sent you one of the tweets. Somebody I follow on Twitter, one of the journalists I follow, like headline on MSNBC Thursday morning, Cohen flips, confirms Russian or Trump Tower meeting with Russians. CNN, BBC, CBC, MTV.
Right, MTV News, right.
And then it had a screen grab. It had several screen grabs for all the talking points that morning on Fox News. the migrant invasion and the war on Christmas. Those were the two things that they were going with. Like, nothing to see here.
Yep. That's good old Fox News for you. Man.
And the surprising part of that tweet that I forwarded you.
MTV has a news organization still? Well, Kurt Loder, he must have had like some sort of lifetime contract signed when he first came on board, because he's still like the guy over at MTV News.
I don't think I've turned on MTV in a decade.
Yeah.
Do they still have news?
Hey, that tweet says so, and if it's in a tweet, it has to be real.
Ever since I was going to say 15 minutes of fame, but I think it was a 53-second clip on MTV
Tabitha
News.
Soren presented your news clip from 93.
93. My first run for public office.
Briefly say what that is. Briefly.
And we can, maybe if I can find the clip, we'll post it. I ran for school committee in the city of Andover in 93 as a protest candidate.
Why would you do such a thing?
Because I was home from college and there was a big article, like front page news, on the Pulitzer Lawrence Eagle Tribune, that one of the 5 school committee members who's been on for like ever announced a year earlier that at the end of his term he's done. Just weeks to the election, nobody even filed. Nobody even took out papers. This is just maybe 6 months or so after the first Clinton presidential election. And I just remember thinking everybody on both sides of the fence did nothing but say how important education is. And the town of Andover, I was just there for sophomore, junior, senior year of high school, but I don't think I was friends with somebody in the town whose mom or dad didn't either have a law degree hanging over the mantle, a doctorate degree. It's a very upper white, collar, town. Like, everybody's a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, something like that. And in this town, absolutely nobody would even bother to run for the office. So it's funny. I took out nomination papers. I had trouble getting the signatures because, you remember how I dressed in 93 and how I looked? I had, like the hair down to my breast line, but I shaved the sides and had attached sideburns. And, I dressed less conservative. And I remember like trying to tell people, like, look, nobody's running. I finally got enough names on the signature. I remember I turned it into the office. It was all well and good. I get a call the next day from the Lawrence Eagle Tribune, and the lady, asked me about my whole platform and stuff like that. And my entire platform, easy to remember, a vegetarian lunch program, make third graders read Kurt Vonnegut, and change the school mascot, which was, the Golden Warrior at the time. I was way ahead of the curve on the political snowflake stuff. And the lady had some laughs, and it was a fun little interview. And the next morning I get up in the paper, there was nothing in it. I didn't give a shit. But then I got a call that afternoon and the lady's like, oh, this went to go to print. My editor recognized your name because about 2 months before in the Sunday paper and like the entertainment section, the band Beyond It, our band, had a full page article. And, it was me. And she's like, you didn't mention that you were in a band when I talked to you yesterday. I'm like, I didn't think it was relevant. She's like, oh, it's relevant. And so I ran, and we should maybe have my sister on one day because she will tell you one of the only times she has seen fear in my eyes in my entire life. One time I was 11 or 12. So she's a year older. My brother's 2 years younger. My parents are out, and kids just broke into our house that I held them off with a stick, and I wasn't phrased, I wasn't scared. But at the big debate, because what ended up happening is so many people, because I said fear is a great motivator. It's like,
don't I know it?
This is what you get, bitches. You know what I mean? You don't care about your kid's education. This is what you're going to get. And then again, it was one position of 5 on the, but I made it on TV. And so there was a big debate between two people, and one was a doctor, one was a lawyer, and it was at City Hall. There was several hundred people there. It was hosted by the League of Women Voters. I I remember one of the questions was about condoms in the school, and both of these, wingnuts were completely against it. And I said flat out, it's like, okay, what parent in the room didn't have sex when they were in high school? And if you think it's any different, it's not. So you have two choices. I mean, AIDS was still a big thing at the time. I'm like, you want your kids to fuck, get AIDS, and die, or get any kind of other venereal disease? You're fighting against condoms in school. You're fighting against health education in school. At the same time, you're fighting against reality. This is what it is, and having condoms available isn't giving your kids a license. You should still talk to your kids, but that's it. It was comments like that got me the endorsement of the League of Women Voters. And when I got the endorsement and it looked like I could possibly win, the look of fear in my eyes that my sister said she'll never forget, because they're all like, they're $1,000 suits, and I have like a Hawaiian shirt on and ripped jeans. And yeah, so there's pictures, but long-winded thing, it made national news. It got me a full profile on Chronicle, and it got me on MTV News, and there you have it.
You were like what an Italian mother is to a second helping. If I say, just give me a little, boom, full plate. That's an old Ray Romano joke. Just give me a little, boom, full plate. And if you don't want anything, if you want zero food, then you're gonna have to shoot her. And I mean, really,
oh yeah,
don't graze her. That'll just make her mad.
Is there a big difference between like the Portuguese and the Italians when it comes to that kind of stuff?
No.
I didn't think. Now, and I'm asking a serious question. I had that Italian aunt. I had the aunt whose parents were off the boat, and I grew up in Everett. I went down there almost every weekend, and it was the biggest bowls of this thing called pasta fasu. Finish it. And it was everything you could do to get that last spoonful in. Oh, you like it. Boom. Another spoon.
They didn't stop until you had a turtle head poking out of your ass.
Yeah,
that was pretty much it.
Hey,
the Play-Doh Fun Factory starts rolling. That's okay. He's had enough. Not on the couch.
But here's
Not
a
on the
cannoli.
couch.
Yeah. No, it was fine to shit on the couch. Why?
It was covered in plastic.
Thank you. Is that also a Portuguese thing?
That kind of was. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what also was a Portuguese thing that I didn't carry over? Finished basements. Like every Portuguese family I knew had a finished basement. Not mine.
But my aunt passed away 2 years ago. My uncle, he is 86 now. If you go in to their apartment, 86 Floyd Street, anyone want to go? Say hi to Uncle Bud for me. You walk right in, and right there on the right is their living room that they got as a wedding present. It's showroom condition. Perfect. It's truly well over 50 years old. If that furniture is 50 years old, those couches, the couch and the love seat and stuff have been sat on 75 times. And it's existed, and it's pristine. So even if you shit on it, just wipe it down, baby.
Right.
It's all good.
Oh my God, yeah.
Speaking of shit on, the one thing I did want to touch on, because I've been saying this forever and some other people have, Deutsche Bank. Did you hear about the raid on Deutsche Bank?
No.
So Deutsche Bank, fun fact, have you gone bankrupt 5 or 6 times?
I have not.
You have not. When you're a very great business guy who was given $500 million from your dad, and you go bankrupt 5 or 6 times, turns out you can't get loans. And for about a good 20 plus years, no U.S.-based bank was giving, Donnie Two Scoops loans. But this bank called Deutsche Bank has been owned by a Russian oligarch, coincidence, and they have been, not only have they been investigated, they've been fined to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars in the past 5 or 6 years, because there's finally been not a crackdown, but there's been some kind of crackdown on financial crimes like this for being caught laundering Russian mob money. I guess the only bank that's been giving Donnie Two Scoops loans the last 20 years.
Deutsche Bank.
He's so smart. And no whammies. Yeah, raided the other day, like a full-on 75 people marching in there, and they marched in, threw everybody out, and like papered out the window, so you couldn't even look in and see. And so between Cohen flipping and stuff, I'm not sure he's coming back from the G20 summit.
That's incredible.
Thank you, John Davidson.
I was more of a Kathy Lee Crosby.
Is that
right?
It was John Davidson. It was a 3-person thing.
Right. I think the third person was he. What was his name? Like Chipperson? No, what was his name?
He did have a weatherman type name.
Yeah, but he had like a bowl haircut. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought his name was like Chip or something, but I'll look it up. But yeah, there's John Davidson, Kathy Lee Crosby, and that guy. That's incredible. Did you watch That's Incredible? Oh, I'm sorry. It was on television.
Was it on television in the 80s?
Yes. Yes. God. Okay, now I got to look it up. That's incredible. Keep it.
I'm trying to think what the lineup was, but yeah, for anybody who doesn't know what That's Incredible is, wow.
Oh. Actually, sorry, Fran Tarkenton.
Fran Tarkenton, okay.
Yeah, so I was thinking of somebody else. Yeah, the Fran Tarkenton's, football guy.
Fran Tarkenton made his name with the Minnesota Vikings, who the New England Patriots played yesterday at Foxborough.
How'd they do?
And they won.
Oh, yeah.
And this is our defunct sponsor of the week.
The Phil and Tony Esposito action hockey game. Magnetic control on top for one, on the bottom for the other.
Okay, face off.
Your players can move anywhere. Dig the puck out of the corner. There's passing and checking. You can set up beautiful plays and score. The Phil and Tony Esposito action hockey game from Parker Brothers.
So, Joe, I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this in news or in sport. I think it's more news than sport.
Snort.
But, yes, and it's quite the laughing matter. Another NFL player caught on video punching and kicking a woman. Good times.
All right. Temporary layoffs.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing. I will just try to have some decorum when we talk about this. Yeah, but Kareem Hunt, who second-year star running back, Kansas City Chiefs, turns out that this event happened in February. It was investigated by the local police and the NFL.
Oh.
And it's shocking that this happened in February and the NFL investigated, much like they did the Ray Rice incident. Somehow they weren't able to get hold of the security footage from the casino. Poof. TMC was.
Well, what do you know?
Just like with Ray Rice. I guess Ray Rice had gone to the commissioner, with his then girlfriend, now wife, and said, yeah, I punched her. Got a 2-game suspension, and then the investigation. The league investigated it. He talked to him about it. They gave him a 2-game suspension. A couple months later, just as the season's about to start, TMC gets a hold of the footage, and Ray Rice truly went Mike Tyson. Wow. Knocked her out. Same thing with this. This happened in February. The league knew about it. He talked to the team about it.
How long did they hold on to tapes? A long time. I mean, that's a long period of time.
It's not tape anymore.
I mean, it's digital, but
it's
still,
literally.
I guess you can archive that stuff. If you're a casino, you probably it's probably in your best interest to archive all that stuff.
And it's and I don't want to get too sidetracked on this. Is it also in your best interest if you have that footage to archive it yourself to then sell it to TMC? Because allegedly TMC paid like $500,000 for it.
Well, in all defense, in the NFL's defense, they don't have that kind of money.
So TMC probably makes how many umpteen millions of dollars a year? What you say? Mm-hmm. Let's say they make $100 million a year.
Yeah.
Is $9 billion more or less than that? Because I'm not so good at math. Just because I'm married to an Asian doesn't mean I'm grandfathered in on the math.
Always got to bring it down to race.
But seriously, how is it that TMC is always able to get their hands on this stuff, but the NFL and the local police? Because if the local police did see this and this guy wasn't put in jail, I mean and I guess it wasn't technically it is not a domestic violence incident because he didn't know the woman, just got into a fight with some woman.
So it's just assault.
And repeatedly punched and kicked her. I've heard. I'm not going to watch it. I don't need to see something like that.
So that's foreign violence. If it's somebody outside of your marriage,
Correct.
Domestic is in the marriage. Foreign is I don't know what you want to.
Right.
classify
So if you punch your wife's best friend in the face,
Yeah, foreign.
guess it's not.
No.
It's not right. So, anyways,
Crazy.
So now I want to say good for the Kansas City Chiefs because instantly that came out in the afternoon. A few hours later, goodbye, released him. And again, this isn't the guy who's like on the practice squad 1 week, starting on the game roster. He's not on the bubble of the 53-man roster. This is a guy who I believe was a first or second round draft pick. In his second year, they're running back.
Right.
Like, it's like it. And so they didn't waver if they got rid of him. Good for them. First of all, really good. They just released him and didn't make any apologies about it. Didn't waver and say, we wish him the best. They said, we talked to him about it. He gave us a different story and wasn't honest with us. We're letting him go. Good for them. But how hard did you look? How Kansas City Chiefs. Now, again, they're only one of 32 teams that split the $9 billion. So maybe they don't have the same resources available to them as, let's say, TMC does. But you did not want to know. And I don't think the NFL has, come out in front of this as well, and put it front and center. Now let's try to sweep it under the rug type thing.
Yeah, they probably just didn't anticipate it. They were hoping that it would sort of go away, or maybe they thought or fooled themselves into thinking it wasn't as big a deal as it really was. And maybe they just didn't see it. They didn't foresee that a news organization would publicize this and make it bigger.
Right. Well, but really, after the Ray Rice thing, and after and the Ray Rice thing was before the Me Too Time's Up movement. It's only bigger. Now let me, and of course, what is this all about? The New England Patriots.
Oh, okay.
Now let me ask you, and seriously, and this is going to be the complete Homer honk fan, and I am going to go down this rabbit hole a little bit. The NFL spent over $10 million with the investigator Wells and the Wells report, and Deflategate was in federal court, one step below the Supreme Court, for 2 years. They did not relent on this. I'm not getting into the specifics of the Colts balls were also the same amount of deflation as the Pats balls, that it was a sub-freezing game, that the locker room was 85 degrees and outside was 32 degrees. I'm not getting into that. The fact is they spent 2 years in federal court and $10 million to Wells' law firm to investigate this, and over the possible deflation of footballs. Here a woman got savagely beat and you couldn't get the security tapes. You could hire Ted Wells to take Tom Brady's phone and everybody on the team's phone and literally thousands of hours of testimony, but you couldn't go to the casino where it happened and said, hey, let us see the security footage.
Yeah.
You have to not want to know. And the ratings are up in the NFL. Nobody at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has said something since the beginning of the season, and that seemed to scoring is way up, so the ratings are way up. There's different teams that are having good seasons, so there's kind of new blood with the ratings. But something like this, again, I wish I knew how to quit you. I wish I could walk away from football because of something like this.
Yeah, it does make you try to reevaluate your priorities. And there are certain things that just like the NFL wants to turn a blind eye to this, you want to turn a blind eye to their blind eye.
Yeah, and I'm no better, But what does it take? I mean, Michael Vick got his job back, and Adrian Peterson got his job back. The only reason Ray Rice didn't get another shake at the another season or another contract, he was done. Like I know Raven fans who are like, good, because he was still under contract and this got them out from a contract. He was really at the end of his career and probably would have only lasted that year, maybe another year, but probably that year just with the Ravens because he was such a fan favorite. But it wasn't anybody was going to pick him up for big money. But Adrian Peterson can still run, so he's back in the league. And Michael Vick, I think he's still a backup somewhere, but he came back and had a couple good years. The thing is, this guy will come back next year. He will do the apology tour. He will go on The View. He will go, on a couple other chit-chatty shows, maybe go on a show like Ellen or something like that.
I can't imagine that ever happening, honestly.
Getting counsel. Oh,
all right.
I hope not, but he will be in the NFL next year. Somebody, if the league lets him play, and the league will let him play, he will have a job next year.
Sure, I won't be in arena football.
You know what? If he happens to want to be in the arena football, I would suggest going out to Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. It's a great organization. The other thing, and now on a completely different subject, and I hate to sound, no, I don't hate to sound like this. Rick Middleton. Do you know who Rick Middleton is?
Bruin, right? Former Bruin.
You not 100% sure, but you're pretty sure it's Bruin. You are right, sir.
Okay.
Can you tell me anything about him?
He was a white guy.
Yep. Yeah. Whoa.
He
really?
He could ice skate.
Oh.
And hold a stick and handle a puck.
Do you know his nickname?
Swampy.
Not far off and nifty. Now, he had his number retired by the Bruins this past week. We've talked about it, and everybody's talked about it. The Halls of Fame have become the Halls of the really good. Number retires used to be absolutely for the greats of the greats, with the exception of Celtics. They've retired almost every number. If you played on the Celtics from like the 60s to now, you get your number retired.
They're down to retiring letters now.
They are actually getting there. Anyways, but they have like 30 retired numbers. The Bruins used to just have 5 for like ever. I mean, absolutely ever. And when you think of the names, it's truly Eddie Shore, who probably still, as much as hockey's changed, one of the greatest hockey players ever. Milt Schmidt, just legendary. Of course, Bobby Orr. Johnny Busick, who played like 25 years for one team and was always. But that was it. And then Ray Bork. Ray Bork played the same time that Rick Middleton did. Rick Middleton retired 30 years ago. He's not in the Hall of Fame. So you're not good enough for the Hall of Fame where 5 to 8 players get in every year, but you're now going to have your number retired by a team and again, guy never finished in the top 5 in scoring, never led the league in goals, never won a Stanley Cup, had a really good career. But it's not like, do you know who Babe Ruth is?
Yes.
Do you know who Bobby Orr is?
Yes.
Do you know who, go down the list. Do you know the greats in other sports? Even if you weren't,
Yeah, they were right. They were larger than life.
That's
they were
it.
Household names.
That's what retired numbers should be.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, I live, I still, when I'm not mad at the Patriots, I still wear a Teddy Bruschi jersey. He's in the Patriot Hall of Fame. He's not in the Hall of Fame. His number shouldn't be retired. Did he have an amazing career? Yes. Did he come back from a stroke? Yeah. In a 11-year career, did he play in five Super Bowls? Great. He was a great player on a great team in a great era. But it wasn't like he was not Tom Brady.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Did he win a couple games? Yes. One playoff game. He picked off Peyton Manning once for pick 6 and strip sacked. That turned into a touchdown. I mean, he was a big point of great. You don't get into the Hall of Fame for a couple great games against a guy who choked in outdoor games in the playoffs. I mean, and then I read today the Rangers are also retiring a guy who retired in the 70s. So how many people at Madison Square Garden even remember this guy Vic Hatfield playing? So I guess
Vic Hatfield, I know the name Vic Hatfield, but
again, could you tell me what number or what team he played on? Again, another guy who never left the league in scoring, never won a Stanley Cup, and not that Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. He's still great. There are those outliers. Ray Bork had to go to Colorado to win a cup. In 22 years, he won, one cup. But he has scoring titles. He was a highest. You can go down his stats that are like jaw dropping. The day he was eligible for the Hall of Fame, of course he was in. And same with retired numbers. Most time retired numbers, I think it's like a 5-year memoriam. I don't know if that's the right word.
Moratorium.
Thank you. There's exceptions. They retire Bobby Orr's number like the following season, and again, we're talking, I think the greatest, and other people could make an argument, one of the 2 or 3 greatest, but you're talking one of the 2 or 3 greatest of a league that's been around almost 100 years. These guys aren't, and it's the whole watering down of the halls of very good.
Well, I mean, is that just sort of a sign of the Pickens?
No, but the thing is, yeah, maybe, but
like, who would you have inducted into the Hall of Fame aside from Rick Reynolds?
Well, no, the Hall of Fame. I mean, you could make an argument of the Hall of Fame, but not a retired number.
I mean, retirement number, right?
Right,
Yeah,
and that there isn't. There isn't. I mean, you look at the Bruins right now, and maybe at the end of the day, if they won another cup, Bergeron, maybe. I love Marchand, but no, you're not going to retire Marchand's number.
I wonder how much of that is like sort of like a quasi-political thing, like a campaign sort of thing, like a Walk of Fame star. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda, who just wrote Hamilton a couple of years ago, has a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Probably a very good. He probably will go on to do even better things and bigger things, but it's just like he's only been in the spotlight for a couple of years.
Right.
And now,
but that's a buying thing. You can buy your way on.
Exactly.
But same thing. Okay. Jim Rice, not in the Hall of Fame. Red Sox. He finally, after 20 years, he was retired for 20 years. And the way that baseball works, it's like the writers vote for you up and for like the first 15 years. Dude, if you didn't make the first or second year you were eligible. Like, if you have to think about if the person belongs in the Hall of Fame, they don't belong in the Hall of Fame. But then they have, there's a 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 year window where if the writers don't vote you in the first 10 or 15 years, that the players, old players or people in the Hall of Fame can vote you in. And it's like, you can see some people like creep up over the years. It's like, if certain writers had a grudge with you, and then, this is, sidebar, this is how much baseball writers suck. No player, including Babe Ruth, including Mickey Mantle, including Ted Williams, ever been a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. There's never been a unanimous people, because there's a tradition where you don't get in on your first ballot, and some people hold to it, some don't. But there were people, nobody, Babe Ruth. Not
Roberto Clemente didn't get in on his.
Oh, he got in, but he wasn't a unanimous vote.
Oh my God! The guy died trying to.
And at the height of his career, after playing 10 great years, but so there you have it. So Jim Rice openly lobbied for 20 years, like showed up at whatever functions to shake hands and to basically plead his way into the Hall of Fame. Then he got into the Hall of Fame and he turned around to the Red Sox like, I'm in the Hall of Fame now, retire my number. And of course, it's one of those things where they can sell how many Jim Rice jerseys get sold the day his number's retired or leading up to it.
I mean, think of how many Jim Rice cookers they could sell at the same time.
You are so damn right. All right, so I'm going to get off the lawn, stop doing my old man yelling about the way things used to be, and get right into something in your wheelhouse. Before we get to the video game reviews of the week, we got a lot to talk about video games.
What's that?
You and I had a discussion. You just the other day nicely said, if you've gotten Fallout 76, bring it back.
Yeah, I heard bad things about Fallout 76. Apparently, it's not good. It's not worth $60. I think the price has already dropped, to $40. I didn't really look that far into it. It's not. It's sort of like it's almost like a Rogue One Star Wars story to the Star Wars lineage. It's not like a true Fallout game. It's not. That's why it's not called Fallout 5. But long and the short of it is, it's not that fun. But it's just very buggy. They're having, I guess, connectivity issues with the server. Apparently, in order to save your data, it has to constantly connect to a server, and they've been having trouble maintaining that. So, like, whenever you're building something, if it doesn't auto-save and you just get disconnected from the server, you try to go back, your stuff's gone. Like, whatever you've been working on since your last save is just gone. It doesn't matter if you save locally. I don't know how it works. But they just, it's kind of a buggy mess. It's not getting favorably reviewed. There's actually a viral video of a guy trying to return Fallout 76 to a GameStop, and he had already opened it, and he wanted to get a full refund. And the guy at the counter said, "No, I'm sorry, this is a used game because it's been open." And then the guy calmly, stepped back, and then he ferociously knocked over a gift card stand, and then he pushed down another gift card standee as he was exiting the store. So yeah, Fallout 76 is not being very well received. So I knew you were thinking about getting it, or you said you would.
I had already spent the big $5 to pre-order it. So that's $5 well spent. And we'll get it. And the disc, because other games are coming out that we'll get, and we'll get in the discount bin in 6 months for $5 or $10 and be okay with that. By the time we record our next podcast, will your son be in any condition to give a piano lesson, or will he have been sleep deprived for a couple days of playing Smash Brothers Ultimate, which comes out next week?
That will be that'll be interesting. I wonder what will get him first: the sleep deprivation or the cramped fingers and
carpal tunnel.
The carpal tunnel, yeah. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah.
Does he have an advent calendar counting down to this?
No, I don't think they're that wacky into it. And who knows who says I'm actually going to get a day of? Okay, they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And the other thing we talked about a little bit, and again, this is your old man yelling on the lawn. You were all excited about Red Dawn Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption 2. We've had some second thoughts. Didn't you say that you didn't think it's turning out to not be as great as
No. No, I mean, I think I'm having second thoughts about how excited I might personally be interested in Red Dead Redemption 2. Only because it's one of those games where, like Fallout, you have to be putting 40 hours, 80 hours into a campaign. You're diving into this world, and it's so rich, and it's so open world, and there are so many branching paths that you can take that it's overwhelming to it's my style of gaming. Like, I'm sure it's great, but I can envision myself buying the game, playing it for like 20 hours, and then just flat out stopping, because there's even though there might be an end goal to the single player campaign, because there are so many branching paths, and you have to do cowboy things like every day. You have to shave yourself, and you have to
really,
yes, you have to control the razor. I think,
dude, I don't shave myself in real life every day,
or if you wanted to shave. But then there are certain things you have to do, and I don't know. People are way into it, and I'm not. And it's like a 10 out of 10 game. I probably will end up getting the game maybe 6 months from now, when it's $40 or whatever, even less. But I don't see myself diving right into it. People are losing. South Park even made an episode about how people are getting addicted to Red Dead Redemption 2. But I wouldn't say that it's not something that universally is being panned. It's myself saying, nah, I don't know if I want to put 100 hours into a game that I might not even finish.
Have you bought when's the last time for your kids that you buy a game for them without them saying, I want this game? That you saw a game on the shelf and you're like, oh, they might like this, or they'll try this out.
I don't know. Not for a long time. They're older now, so they kind of know what they want, and I get what they ask for usually. I don't know. It's and I'm not very thoughtful.
Because it was funny because I had texted you from one of the stores I was in the other day. I saw a plushie, and I'm like, I think this is Waluigi, and I took a picture, and you're like, that's Waluigi, and I'm like, okay, thank you, I will get this. But I'm looking at all the games for the Switch and the PS4, and I'm thinking, well, I know they want this, and this. I know my oldest has already asked if he could take next Friday off. Yeah, he's in the 4th grade. And of course the answer is no if his mom's listening, but he might get a half day. I get it. I do. I say, dude, it's his Super Bowl. And I know a couple things that Santa might be bringing, but I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll pick up another game. And I'm looking at all these games like, why? Why am I going to spend $60 on something if they have no interest? So I did and I don't think it's unthoughtful, but or like taking the easy way out. I got a couple gift cards for, online for PS4 store for each of them and for Nintendo. And it's not that I'm not interested, but it's like, no, I'm not going to buy you something that you're not going to use.
Right. I mean, there's always the story about how, growing up, the mom asks the guy at the store like what all the kids are into, and they get him the game that the kid doesn't want. After all, so it's all right. You're old. It's fine to be old and out of touch with video games that aren't geared towards old and out of touch people.
There was an episode of the Goldbergs, and you'll know what they're called. He collected Transformer because he should, and his mom got him the
GoBots.
The GoBots. Is that okay thing? I was gonna say the Hydrox to
the Oreos.
The Oreos. That it was a GoBots, and he looked at it like she put like a big steaming pile of dog crap in his hands. Like, look what I got you.
Yeah. So no, I think that's fine.
All right. So, is there another gaming thing you want to talk about? You want to go right into the random video game review of the week?
Let's go right into the random video gaming review of the week. So here goes Jacques. He's going to go walk over to my random video game review of the week wall, and he's going to pick out a game. It looks like from the good old Nintendo Entertainment System. Why break format? That's branding right there. Stick with the program. He looked like he pulled a game out from the tees, I want to say. It's not track and field. Oh, wait, it wasn't. Okay, it's after track and field 2. It's after Twin Cobra. It's before. I can't see that far. Is it before Vegas Dream? So it's TU. Gee, what could it? No. Oh, it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. No, it's not Turtles. Damn it! I give up.
You actually said it.
It was a Vegas Dream?
It's Vegas.
Oh. Okay, I thought I was looking at it on the wall. Vegas Dream! Woo! It's I'd not played this, but it's a casino game, whatever. You play roulette and slots and blackjack. Not
know any Vegas games? Can you play cards?
Yeah. No, I know the rules of blackjack. I know the rules of poker. I'm not
wrecked them.
Yeah, I know a couple of card games. I don't know like Texas Hold'em at all. Like I'm way out of it. Yeah, like I know what a river is. I guess I know the term. I know of the term what a river is in Texas Hold'em. I don't know. I'm not. I've been to Vegas once and I was 17 years old, so I couldn't really do anything. I'm not a big gambler. Only because I know that if I got into it, I would be a degenerate gambler. So
is there another kind? No, seriously. Have you ever heard of anybody being a casual golfer? If people golf, they golf. They're out there at like 5:30. The outliers maybe, but if you're into something, I don't know many casual gamblers.
I guess you wouldn't think of like people who want to like on a lark. Going, it's our 20th anniversary. Let's go to Vegas and fuck around for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's casual gambling. Like, it's not like, they're opening a casino not too far from where I live. It's very soon.
Yeah, like 8 miles maybe?
Yeah, it's
not even?
It's an Everett, yeah. And it's, well, I don't even know when, I guess it's opening next year or something, right? And I don't know if I'll ever set foot in it.
Yeah.
I have no desire. Like, it's just like a seedy kind of.
I had to go to Vegas, and people think I joke when I say that when I first said it, but I had to go to Vegas about once to twice a year for 10 years for like hockey things, most part. Whether I had to play on, a team or a friend I was with, was on a team or something like that, and I hated it. I literally hated Vegas because. Like it's
1,000 degrees.
Well, for me, it's the smoking. Like I can't be around smoke. So just walking through a lobby to get to the elevator to go to your room, you have to leave the clothes in a bag by the door in on a drawer because it smells that bad. I don't gamble, and I can't afford the hooker. So it's like that town is not.
The only thing
me.
I liked about Vegas in the '90s when I went is that the steaks were really cheap. Like you could get a really good.
Were you big
deal.
into steaks when you were 17?
I was a big steak-um guy.
All right.
I knew I shouldn't have eaten all those steak-ums before bed. Vegas Dream, according to Pat Contry, who wrote the Ultimate Nintendo NES Guide to the Nintendo Library book. Vegas Dream.
Stop that.
Yeah, shut up. 3 stars. In this gambling simulation, up to 4 players. 4 players can register their name and then are given $700 to hit the casinos to win more cash. From a menu, players can select and play one of 4 games and can switch off to another whenever they want to or until the player runs out of money. Blackjack, Keno, roulette, and slot machines are all available to play. Yeah, and then Microsoft released Windows 3.1 and put Solitaire on there, and that pretty much sealed the deal for anybody who had an itch to play anything card related.
I think we all have gone through our solitaire phases.
The free cell chasms, yeah.
The greatest gift that I had ever given my mom at one point, going back maybe 20 years, when I showed her, because she was a receptionist, and she got it on her computer, when I showed her how to, with one button, toggle out of solitaire, she thought that was she was pretty sure I should have been working for NASA at that point, but it did. It was like the greatest gift I could have ever given her, showing her how to toggle out. Now, if you didn't have this gold nugget sitting on the shelf, what do you think you'd be paying for it on the interwebs?
Well, it is made by HAL Laboratory, which makes Smash Brothers. I would have to say a cool $8.
Look,
$7.99.
Yeah,
All right, yeah.
Right there, right in the wheelhouse.
All right. So cool. Vegas Dream for your NES.
What are you watching?
My weight.
No, that's me.
Yeah, I'm watching that too. And man,
Hello.
What have you? What am I watching? You know what? I just finished watching Mystery Science Theater: The Gauntlet.
You got through it.
So that was great. And then I also watched a short 3-episode run of a special on Netflix called Bumping Mics with Dave Attell and Jeff Ross.
Bunch of comedians.
Yeah, it's mainly they've been touring the country, and that was their final stop, the Comedy Cellar in New York. And they did the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So each night is its own episode. And they're only like a half an hour each, but they have special guests come up. Like they had Bruce Willis in the crowd at one point. They brought up like Amy Schumer and Nikki Glaser. And then the second episode you'll love, you have to watch. Gilbert Gottfried, he kind of intros them, and then they go to him.
Did they talk about the lawsuit with Apple?
Never mind that. Then Bob Saget was also on that episode, and it was funny. It's just like a good kind of palate cleanser. It's just like it's not its own singular special. But it's like it's a good kind of throwback to how comedy was. There's a whole. I think now the climate is about talking about how comedy is under attack, and I hopefully we'll get past this fucking phase, because right now it's a lot. There's a sort of change of the guard. Like the old '90s comedians who came up in the '90s are like, they don't understand these kids today. They're so sensitive. You can't say this word. You can't say that.
Oh no, there's so many comics. The way comics made money, one of the big circuits for comics was colleges. I mean, I can't tell you how many college campus, like name comedians would do it. More and more comedians won't do colleges anymore because of, the sensitivity and the snowflake, factor. And I get it.
And they don't pay.
No, they do pay. I'm telling you, it still amazes me. Well, it's funny. We talked about it a little bit last week. And by the way, special shout out to Alex from Gold Star Boulevard for doing Sideshow this week.
Yes, thank you, Alex.
That was fun. The song is, what was it? Lucky number 7, which we played. It's a good song. But we talked about that. I mean, Ed would get college gigs, even us. But our college, I remember, it's like they would pay like a few $1,000 for a named comedian that you could see in Boston at Nick's. It's like, why is a school paying to have? But that's always been one of the things. But I mean, you can go back and forth. No, they're not shelling out for like Anthony Jeselnik to come in. But if you're a touring comedian, these are the gigs you do, Knights of Columbus fundraisers, college things, and you supplement it with, gigs here and there at no nightclubs. But more and more people won't do the college circuit because the too politically correct. And I get that. Look, and you and I have talked it so many times about it. This podcast has helped in a lot of ways, when we started. Like, I've become less Don Rickles, and it's hard. Like, how many Italian, what I made an Asian joke today, maybe two.
Right.
We talked about the Italians in a joking, in a loving but joking fashion and stuff like that. But some of that stuff doesn't even fly. Like, making I should be able to do math because I'm married to an Asian thing. That's funny. It's completely stereotypical, and it's stupid because I'm really making fun of myself not having the brains to realize just because I'm married to somebody who the stereotype is they're good at math. Ironically, the Asian I'm married to, not great at math, a fantastic driver. Like, literally, she can parallel park better than me, and that's this. So the stereotype works in opposite directions with her. But that's it. Comedians would have to just do what I did, go on a 5-minute explanation for a 4-second throwaway joke.
There's a great joke where they do a lot of crowd work on the Bumping Mike special, and there are these two guys who are known in the area as the Twin Towers because they're these two tall African-American gentlemen.
Oh, I could take them down.
You see what you did there. I won't ruin the joke for you because it's just that great, but they say a joke that's just like, oh my God, that's so perfect and so wrong, yet so right. It's awfulsome. So there's a bunch of those moments. It was nice, and I think it's worth a watch. So Bumping Mics with Dave Attell and Jeff Ross. Check it out, unless you're a snowflake and you're going to melt.
Did you, so you got through the gauntlet. How long did it take you to get through the gauntlet?
Like a week, right? It came out Thanksgiving, and we finished it Friday evening. I would watch it with my younger son, so we made it through the gauntlet in about a week. And it was it's 6 episodes, 8 hours cumulatively, and it was it's nice. It's also like, oh, they're probably going to now take another year to do 6 more episodes or 4 more episodes.
Couldn't have taken more than 2 days to shoot the wraparounds.
Exactly, right. But it's, it was satisfying. It was good.
What was the first movie?
Mac and Me.
Okay, we watched that. And I watched it with the boys. Management came home. And just as a scene where he goes down the hill in the wheelchair, do you know the Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien thing?
Yes.
I did not know that. And so she stops a movie and shows, and it's like a 10-minute clip of all the times that Paul Rudd has been on the show.
And then it's like, oh, Conan would set up, I think you have a clip from your new movie. Yeah, here it is.
And like the second or third time, Conan's like, you got to knock it off. Then he came on and he was like, yeah, this is a Marvel movie. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't fly. You're not doing that. And it was it a Marvel movie? Oh, the first time he couldn't do it, I think it was for This Is 40.
Okay.
Who directed This Is 40?
Judd Apatow.
Judd Apatow, right. Judd Apatow was not on the show, but flew to New York with him and sat right off camera so he couldn't do it.
Oh, my God.
And he still did it. And then so when he came back, and the thing is, it's funny because this is over the course of like 10 years. And you see, we love Paul Rudd.
By the way, hasn't aged a day.
Paul Rudd, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Paul Rudd makes a guest appearance on the Bumping Mike special.
What is your favorite role that Paul Rudd played to Sidebar? Wrong. Crap bag.
I don't know what crap.
He was on Friends.
Oh, right.
And Phoebe changed her name to Princess Consuela Banana Hammock. She didn't know what a banana hammock was. He tried to explain it. Tried to tell her that you couldn't do that. You can't change. So he went and because he was engaged to her during that season, the character. So he legally changed his name to Crap And then when she had to introduce him to her friends, like, oh, this is my boyfriend, Mr. Bag. It's like, oh, we're all friends here. Why don't you tell my first name? Crap bag. So every time I see him, so anyways, so now he's doing the $200 million. I mean, this is a guy from Role Models, by the way. I was watching that today. It's great. It stands up. Role Models is awesome.
I know not of Role Models.
It's on Netflix. Just, yeah, maybe that's my pick of the week, but Role Models. Anyways, but he does Ant-Man. And he's like, yeah, the studios won't let me. And he starts off the trailer in the first 10, 15 seconds.
It's Ant-Man.
It's Ant-Man. And then it goes into that clip.
The Mac and Me wheelchair kid.
It's so great. And the boys were losing their ever-loving mind watching how many times on Conan. And it would cut back, and there's Conan just like sitting back in a chair, jacket off. He's like, I quit. I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. Why do I invite you on my show? And every time. Anyways, so I watched Mac and Me. Boys couldn't get over how bad it was. Like they were like stunned that you can make movies that bad.
How far to the floor did their jaws drop during the breakdance scene in the McDonald's?
Maybe
Maybe that was the highlight of the movie.
I'm trying to think of there was a couple things that just got them. Like, just they couldn't believe the bad parenting. You know what I mean?
Right. That was the 80s, though.
There was. The absolute. Oh no! It's at the end. At the end, when they got their citizenship.
Oh, right, and they were all dressed up.
Dude, they look 10 times creepier with clothes on than without. Oh, it was hard. And then we started. They can't get over that you're legally allowed to make a movie like Atlantic Rim. Like the little one is, because Pacific Rim's our jam. Like the little one has probably seen me watch Pacific Rim, without exaggeration, 20 times. And the fact that they have this awfully low budget GoBot version.
The Mockbuster that I learned about last week. Yeah, it's called a Mockbuster, but this is the same Sharknado company. The Asylum.
So I'm getting through the gauntlet. My pick of the week, we'll get a little sappy here. It is Christmas Chronicle.
You know what? I had a kind of a maybe about that movie.
I like Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
He's an actor I've always really liked.
Miracle top 5 movie. No,
but it's really good. Gonna give you a little spoiler alert. Lowell, Mass. The family's from Lowell, and we're watching it as a family, sitting in our humble abode in Lowell, Mass. And it's like the boys were dialed in, and they love Christmas movies. But when they said that, and it's funny because I saw picking up the oldest one at school the other day. I saw, the dad of one of his little buddies, and we're standing there waiting for him to come out. And I'm like, oh, we watched it. He goes, yeah, we were watching it too. And this guy was born and raised in Lowell. Pissed off that it wasn't actually shot in Lowell. Like the writer might have been from Lowell, so wanted to use it, but
it was Lowell, British Columbia.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it was good. I mean, it's a sweet movie. It's fun. It's
light enough, and yeah, I get it. It's above Hallmark Movies.
Right.
Channel. Okay.
I mean, but I was watching Role Models. Paul Rudd, who played the guy in American Pie who was into Stifler's mom, or Stifler? Oh, Stifler himself.
Stifler. Okay,
he's an actor. He's a known actor. He had a good 5.
Sean.
Thank you,
Sean. He has a 3-name name,
but definitely Role Models is on Netflix. It's probably my favorite Paul Rudd movie. He's a complete douchebag. Yes, he really is.
Speaking of Christmas movies, I did like there was a meme going around, at least on my Twitter, about, or somebody tweeted a montage of every holiday movie where the poster is a heterosexual couple wearing red and green. And there's literally 30 of them, at least 30 of the just white heterosexual couples wearing red and green. And it's just that's pretty much it. And then also, I know you don't listen to the Titus podcast, but they had their Titus's grandmother-in-law on, and she watches all those, Hallmark movie channel Christmas movies. And they were talking about how, she's seen every one of them, and they're all the same plot. Woman comes back to her hometown with her big city boyfriend, and then falls in love with the
Boy next door.
boy next door that she grew up with, and then dumps her big city boyfriend. But it's just like
He was always right there.
right, and it's the same exact plot every single time. But yeah, I don't know. Although I will say this, AMC now is showing all the Rankin Bass, not all the Rankin Bass, but they had a marathon Saturday of 11 straight marathon, 11 straight episodes of the kind of the B team of Rankin Bass cartoons. Like they had Rudolph's Christmas in July. They had Little Drummer Boy Part 2.
Yeah, so completely missable. Now, I would ask you, would you rather watch another one of these made for Hallmark, same poster, the heterosexual couple, where the small town girl goes to the big city and comes back and marries the boy next door? Or would you rather look at a couple more photos from the hellscape White House Christmas decoration that the First Lady has outdone herself again?
You talking about like the red Christmas tree hall?
Dude, seriously? Is
Right.
that not, like, who directed The Shining?
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah,
that's what I said. On my Twitter, I had Christmas by Kubrick.
Dude, and we're going to find out at one time, those trees are people! The trees are people!
Some genius photoshopped it so that it looked like those aliens on Sesame Street that went, yep, uh-huh.
Those are annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I saw that photo and it's like, wow. You know what, Joe? Let's spend a little time talking about the real war on Christmas. And it's whatever the fuck she's trying to do.
I don't know. Let's not.
Okay. Parenting tip of the week?
Guy, don't send them to war without good reason. There.
All right.
I've said it.
I was going to go with something nice like, the nice family, the now annual Christmas tree farm, going up into the hills and picking out our own tree type thing. Family did it together. My mom and dad came. Management's mom came. It was nice. I was going to say something about that. Fuck that shit. I know that I've named my children after superhero figures and or superhero characters and sci-fi characters, which is why I put them in jiu-jitsu, because they're going to have to deal with my nerdism and geekism. Don't fucking name your kids A, B, C, D, E, F.
You mean Ab City?
Dude, seriously, go ahead and name it. It's all your right. You're going to fuck up your kids your own way. I'm not telling you that. Just don't make a fucking big deal of it if they make fun of it.
Yeah, that's almost like when, African-American kids would be named like ShamWow or something.
Aaron. Is Aaron here? You mean Aaron? Oh, that's how you're going to play it, huh?
Or like Anthony Hardaway.
Yeah, no, I get it. Look, I said it when we put the boys in school in Lowell. One of the things that I liked about it is there's no way I would be able to say all the kids in their room's names right. There's just no way. I'm not great with ethnic names, I'm just not, I'm not good with regular names. I'm not good with people, but very eclectic names. And I like that. I like that it's culture and there's different things. That's one thing we really like about living low. That said, again, from somebody who named his son after his favorite superhero, really, you're going to saddle your kid with that and not expect that there's going to be pushback.
Right. Well, you're talking about the story where a Southwest Airlines person at the gate made fun or laughed at the girl's name because it was ABCDE. Right. But it's pronounced Ab City. And
like you would know that.
And how did that make the news? Like, did she go on a blog? Did the mom go on?
Yeah, she posted that.
Like, how dare you? And then the backlash was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're naming your kid ABCDE.
Well, it's like a woman who goes out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the last name is Jekyll Manopkis,
which is the most
Jekyll Manopkis.
It's the most incredible word you ever see. No, it's funny because it was kind of a joke. Like I said, on the Big 3 tour, McCants wore a crown, a real crown, a crown that cost him several thousands of dollars. And he wore it everywhere. And every time somebody said, "Hey, man, what's with the crown?" he would turn around like, "What are you talking about? It's just a hat." Like you're the idiot. And I get that. But, if you're going to do that, there is going to, you're not going to be with them at school all day, every day. They're going to get shit. And maybe the Southwest person, I don't know how far they took it, but dude, if you're going to put it out there, you're going to get that. It's,
maybe, just maybe, hear me out.
I'm hearing you.
Maybe the mother
Is a wingnut?
starved for attention.
Oh,
Maybe.
it's
just a bit.
Woman goes out and gets like, a woman who's a B cup goes out and gets a boob job and she's a double E, wears cleavage down to her navel, and then gets mad at you for checking her out. It's like, but you dress and I'm sorry.
I will not respond or pile onto that remark.
Yes,
That's old school.
No, I think
if she was named Apkadefki,
then
Right.
we got something to bitch about. So, hey, our parenting tips are always tongue-in-cheek. Name your kid what you want, but, actions have consequences.
Read the room.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to go out. So Dan and I jammed the other day. Sean couldn't make it. But we're getting ready for our big show with Gold Star Boulevard, December 14th. Uncharted and Lowell, and Dan came up with a song a couple years ago that I really like, and there's a couple tough changes in it, and we worked it to death the other day. We're going to go out with it, called Firing Line. I suggest going to dancraig.net and you read along the lyrics as you play this. He's good. His words are good.
Quite the wordsmith.
It's like he. And I'll preface it by saying, if you read a lot of Dan's lyrics, you have to know that he was tragically in love with his wife 2 years before he ever asked her out. Like, he was in love with his wife long before they ever became a fling, that became a couple, that been married for, 25 years now. And he's just as in love with his wife today as he was before he had the courage to ask her out. The lyrics wouldn't indicate that. I mean, he writes these anti-love, like just like brutal, like just wordsmithy, brutal, Shakespearean, tragic awesomeness. So keep in mind that it's like when you see Bobcat Goldthwait perform in a movie, it's not really Bobcat Goldthwait. It's a character. Dan is in love, and as he should be, as we all should be. Maybe not with his wife, but our
Pick your own damn
wives,
wives.
right? But yeah, Firing Line by Dan, and I'm
Gay? I know it.
Hey, don't you wish? When I say you would be the first to know,
Really? Does it matter if you are or not?
hey. I'm just sticking my dick through the hole in this fence, officer, when this wacko comes by and decides hey, how can I be gay if he's blowing me?
More.
What is the difference between now and then? How can you tell if your roommate's gay?
How?
This cock tastes like shit. You better end this. We're not headed down a good place.
Jacques, don't forget.
There's nothing left to say. We said it all before. It's everything we said. It's led to this. There's nothing left to do. We've done it all to death. It's time we closed the ties and laid our love to rest. It cuts like I'm being carved up from the inside. It aches like my hollowed out guts been packed with ice. And that's just half the way to your side. So I pray they aim straight and I smile at the firing line. So I pray they aim straight and I smile at the firing line. I pray they aim straight and I smile at the firing line. Was it worth the cost? A never-ending fight. Are you any better off, love? Now that you proved you right. Light my last cigarette. So my hands are tied. Brush your lips across my cheek and pull the blindfold tight. Cuts like I'm being carved up from the inside. It aches like my heart and guts been packed with ice. And that's just how the weight of your side. So I pray they aim straight and I smile at the firing line. So I pray they